What does adventure mean to me? That's how this whole thing got started. Not just this particular project, but my career, really. I made a pact with myself that I would focus on creating authentic and meaningful experiences for myself and those around me. Moments that actually meant something to me instead of moments that just looked cool on someone else's feed as they scrolled. That's how I ended up traveling to Finland. I was seeking these kind of powerful experiences that would change me. To be honest, getting here was a lot less glamorous than you might think. That seems to be how traveling the world goes anyway, at least for me. A lot of really unglamorous moments with some extremely profound ones interspersed throughout the journey. Let me take you back. It began one night when I found cheap flights online and messaged a few of my talented friends, my go-to travel buddies. For this trip, our team was made up of myself, my wife Kayla, my business partner Steve, and his wife Crystal. We only had a few short days to capture all that we were hoping to, and it made for an intense schedule. But looking back, we totally smacked it. The cold was the first thing we noticed about the place. But unlike the cold weather I expected, this didn't feel brutal or violent. It almost felt like a welcome and necessary rite of passage for entering a landscape this raw. Our first day we traveled to Pyhä, which is where we were staying. For context, we're about here on the map, basically at the top of the world. Right after we unpacked our bags, we explored the area around our hotel to get a sense of what was around us. A lot of times when I travel to a new place, I think about what I'll find, but being in Pyhä, I quickly realized that it wasn't what I'd find there. It was actually the absence of things that define the place. Fewer lights, fewer people, and a silence. It was a silence that you could almost feel. You know, I've found that when I travel, it can be so easy to miss it. You go to a new place and have a checklist of all the areas you want to see and all the things you want to do, and you focus so much on getting those things finished. But a lot of times, my travel checklist isn't where I discover things that I think are truly unique about the place. Honestly, my checklist is where I usually lose sight of why I came in the first place. Through all my travels, I've realized that hitting all the hotspots usually isn't where my most profound experiences come from. These moments usually catch me off guard. They're surprises in the midst of a detour I took, or even a turn that I missed. And that's what we found in Finland. Of course we had a plan in mind, but sometimes part of the adventure is ditching the agenda altogether and embracing where the trip guides you. Everything felt so significant that time seemed to move slower there. We were taking in so much experience at once, it almost felt like we needed to cling on to the moments in between every second. In Finland, there's this sense of ownership to the land. And it's not in a possessive way, but more a feeling of responsibility. There's an unspoken understanding that it's a communal privilege to sustain and care for the land. It's almost a feeling of belonging. Staying in Pyhä reminded me of why I pursue this lifestyle. It caused me to slow down, to silence the constant stream of media coursing through my brain, and simply be with the people around me to make something of our time together. The people of Finland reminded me to be genuine, to create intentional memories. Throughout the trip, I was brought back to the question of what does adventure mean to me? For me, adventure means cultivating authentic connections with a new place, a new culture, while finding sincerity in the most unglamorous parts of the journey. To put it simply, an adventure is measured in moments, not miles. So now I ask, what does adventure mean to you? Huge shout out to Pyhä Igloos and Bliss Adventures for making this video possible. The people who run those two companies are some of the most genuine people I've ever met, and they had a significant impact not only on our trip, but my life. If you're planning on going to Pyhä, you've got to consider staying in the igloos. They're some of the most beautiful in the region, and they're right in the middle of all the action in Pyhä. Every adventure we did in this film was set up through Bliss Adventures, and they offer so much more than we showed. So if you want to do any type of excursion, Bliss Adventures are the people you need to get in touch with. One last big shout out to everyone who was involved, and if you're planning on going to Pyhä, I've linked everyone you need to know down below. If you've got any questions about Pyhä or filmmaking, don't be too shy to reach out. Just drop a comment or send me a message.